This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your favorite host, Pauline.
And I'm Anthony.
And today we're going to start off discussing some potential trades. The trade deadline, is coming up in just a few hours, actually. So there's still a lot of time for a lot of bombs to be dropped, potential bombs. Who knows? I'm just now recovering and finally dealing with the DeMarcus trade shock that I've had. Last night I was looking at the pictures of like DeMarcus and his number 0.
Right.
Pelicans jersey.
Oh, he's on the Pelicans. Mm-hmm.
And then, with the Pelicans, excuse me. And then I was looking at Buddy Hield. I like Buddy Hield. I was talking a little bit of smack talk about him.
You don't like Buddy Hield as much as Vivek does. Vivek loves him so much.
Only I was talking smack about him because I was, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more. It had nothing to do against Buddy Hield personally or anything like that. I was just, as far as like the weight of gold, I didn't think that we got enough for that. But, I did like Buddy Hield going into the draft and things like that. And so I feel like he's a really cool guy.
Yeah. No,
so
totally.
I'm excited about that part. And I guess if the Kings are all about this whole new, let's get a new, atmosphere within the team and things like that. Buddy Hield is definitely a guy that you always see. He has a positive attitude all the time. Mm-hmm. And things like that. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. So I was looking at those pictures of them in their new jerseys, and the sting wasn't as
it's not as bad,
hurt as much anymore last night. So
well, it takes time. Like this happened Sunday night or something like that, and now it's all the way
still fresh.
Yeah, so it's all the way. It's like there's been time. Like don't get me wrong. Like when it happened, like I was at work, and I was like watching it, and it was like as it was happening because like you could see like little. Updates from like Bleacher Report or whatever, and stuff was like going. It's like, oh, they might do this. Oh, they might do this. And my dad was texting me because my dad and I have season tickets, and my dad was so mad. Like my dad was pissed. Like he's calling me, what the all just left and right, and I'm just like, look, man, I don't know. And when they announced it, everything, like, I mean, yeah, you're kind of right with the whole thing of like maybe they should have gotten more and everything else like that. Mm-hmm. Also. Those trades for big men, not big men like as far as like centers or whatever, but just like the big name players, like they don't generally get back a lot for them. Like the reason the Timberwolves got a lot for Kevin Love was because LeBron basically said like, yeah, I want him, get me him. Yeah, Wiggins, you can go, that's fine.
Yeah, true.
Like generally that doesn't work out. Like, but all that being said, you got Buddy Hield basically, and a first round pick that won't be probably in the top 10.
Yeah.
So that's nice, and considering that the Lakers traded away Lou Williams for a first-round pick, which probably will only be about like 5 or 6 picks worse. Mm-hmm. That's fun.
So, I did. Lou, did you see his little tweet? He was like, thanks. He was like, basically, thanks, LA. My time is up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, deuce.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't there that long. Like, it was just kind of a thing of just like, oh, okay, cool.
My stay.
And now he's going to Houston, which is basically just like they let you shoot all the time, and they don't care about defense.
True.
They're just like, yeah, we're going to shoot these shots. If you like to get them, come on.
Let's get these buckets. Yeah.
Right. I do love, though, just like Magic being back with the Lakers for no other reason than it's Magic, and the dude just, like, it just seems fun. Kind of a thing. Like, I don't even like the Lakers.
Right.
But, the dude smiles, 23 and a half hours out of the day. Like, he's just, like, happy, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool.
Magic.
So this will be at least kind of fun kind of thing, right? Now they're trying to trade for Paul George, right? Like,
so we'll see. I mean, I have no problem with, like, former players coming back into the front office and things like that when they come with, like, you know, it seems like Magic is really trying to make these moves and make it for the better,
right?
Which is totally fine. You know, then we have our guy Vlade, who's making I just don't understand.
He's making moves.
You know, yeah, he
is making moves. That is happening. At least with Magic, like the thing I think with Magic is he's someone who, like, I think I talked about this yesterday. Like so he's like the front man of a band, right? Like he's the guy that basically makes you want to go see the Lakers, right? If you're trying to sign with the team, like he's the guy that's just like, oh, they, you know, let's go say hi to Magic or whatever else like that. But then like you have like the other people in the band, the drummer, the guitarist, stuff like that, who like make the actual song sound good. And by that I mean like you have like the other people in the pitch meeting, like the stats guy that's just like, okay, cool. So like you're gonna come to our team and we're gonna get you all these shots because you shot like this percentage here and you did this down low. The other dudes is just like, okay, here's this, this, and this of how you can actually be a better player once you get to the team. Because last time when like LaMarcus Aldridge was going to the Lakers, he was saying how it was just all just weird and Kobe was just like death staring everybody like, are you gonna play for our team? No, get the hell out, kind of thing like that. And like he was just kind of going off. So like you have Magic in there, it's just like oh, it's Magic, and then everyone else is like, oh, okay, cool, this is why I should go to the team. Like you get all the people around there, but at least now Laker fans are basically just happy they don't have Jim Buss there anymore because they hated him so much.
Yes. So, and everybody loves Magic, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody does. Even non-Laker fans. We love Magic.
Yeah, he's basically one of those guys in sports that even if, like, you hate the team, kind of like Derek Jeter, who's like, yeah, you may hate the Yankees, but he's Derek Jeter, and you're like, he's cool.
Yeah. I totally get it. So the trade deadline is today, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So what's 12 noon?
Yes.
12 noon.
12 noon here in Pacific.
Our time. Yes. So actually kind of soon, in about 4.5 hours. So there's still, like we said, a lot of time. The Lakers are still, you know, the rumors are that they're interested in Paul George, like you said.
Right.
We'll see what happens with that, if he'll come to California or not.
And I see it on here because they're like, so we have, you know, Undisputed and First Take on.
Right.
And on, which one is that? Is that Undisputed? So it says Cavs wanted Patrick Beverly from the Rockets for Iman Shumpert. Like, so they haven't done that trade, but they're like, you know, kind of throwing these things out. Yeah. So and they still have the trades going out there, the proposed stuff for like Blake Griffin.
Yes, I did see that.
Jimmy Butler. Melo still just hanging out there in New York. That kind of died down.
Mello.
That died down.
It did die down.
This is basically what we do, like in sports. Basically, we yell at a team.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, like
we completely forget about that.
Right. It's the movie Up. It's the dog from the movie Up, where it's just like a squirrel, and it's like you totally, you know, right turn to something else. Yes. Like we were mad at James Dolan for a while because he decided to just have a public beef with Charles Oakley. Yep. And then the Kings made a trade, and we're like, oh yeah, cool. So they're dysfunctional too. Let's talk about them.
And then Ben and I were talking about that, how on Monday morning when we opened up the sports show,
right?
We both thought we were going to be discussing a lot about the All-Star weekend.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And we thought, you know, that was going to be our main topic of discussion.
Sure.
But we got to that the second segment because the main topic of discussion was DeMarcus.
Yeah, because I was thinking it was all about, Anthony Davis got 52 points.
Yes.
The All-Star game had like 3,000 points, all these things like that. Yeah. That was going to be the, you know, kind of topic.
Right.
And then literally like an hour and a half afterwards, 2 hours afterwards.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All I did was eat dinner basically. And then I sat down again in front of the TV to kind of like watch highlights and stuff. And I was like, Mom, what's going on? And she's like, you know, she's like, well, I'm like, no, Mom, look at my Twitter feed right now, because I saw it on Twitter first.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Today's basically the day where you just like keep the Twitter page on Adrian Wojnarowski.
Yes.
That's all you do.
Say yes.
Yeah, you just wait for Woj bombs, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because the thing we see about Beverly with the Cavs and the Rockets, like, that might happen, but
until Woj says it.
Woj is the one that's just like, oh, okay, cool. So this actually did happen. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Like, that's amazing. Like, he's like the one dude, kind of like Adam Schefter is a little bit in the NFL, but like he's the main dude in the NBA who like
knows everything before the people even know.
Yeah, like, and you could have stuff from other.
Before your front office knows, he will know.
Right.
Like, this is what you guys are going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I've already tweeted it out.
Like, I could hear it from anybody else. I could hear it from Broussard. I could hear it from Mark Spears. Anybody else. That's totally fine. Like, if they tweeted out, it's like, hold on. Woj said, gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
this happened.
That's what I told my mom. And then my mom was like, well, it's just a rumor. I'm like, no, Mom, like, you don't understand who said this.
Right.
And I was like, and then because at first I was like, wait, I think DeMarcus might be getting traded. And then I went straight to his page.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it happened. It happened. And she's like, well, because we were just like talking back and forth with it and discussing. And she's like, well, go tell your dad. And so I was the one who told my dad. And he was like, no. I was like, you can wait till tomorrow if you want, Dad. But I'm telling you what was said.
I like, what would happen if you lied to Woj? Like, I imagine, like, he has so many contacts that, like, if you burned him, he's just like, oh, no, we're done. Because I know he had a beef with Sacramento at one point with the selling of the Kings. Mm-hmm. Because he had a thing where basically said the deal was done or first and goal in the one or whatever. There was some version of just like, basically this is probably going to happen within the next like day or two. And to be fair, it really, 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 really looked like it was. And then it didn't happen. And then people like here were like, oh, Woj doesn't know. And it's like the one thing he's ever maybe done where he wasn't like 100% accurate.
Right. And
then he wouldn't come on some Sacramento shows. But like, yeah, there's a whole thing where.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I was saying, so like, I imagine like if you are the Rockets or the Cavaliers or the whatever, and you don't give him good information, and he like you say like, oh yeah, we're going to trade him, and then even if it's just like an actual mistake, it's like, oh, we thought this was going to happen, it didn't happen. Like Woj is just going to be like, okay, I'm not going to you anymore.
Yeah,
like he's just like, we're done. I can find like 13 other people that'll tell me just what you did.
Right. No. I see what you're saying. And people want to be the one who tells him the breaking.
Yeah, like the funny thing is he doesn't work for ESPN. I think he's going, like there was talks that he's going to do ESPN stuff, like he was going to eventually sign with them, but like, yeah, he just works for Yahoo Sports.
I know. I know.
Which is like, no shot to Yahoo Sports, like, you know.
But it's not.
But like you would assume someone that high up there who's like the guy would work for like at least ESPN or NBA.com.
No, they're making sure they're keeping him happy.
Oh yeah, no. If I was Yahoo Sports, I'd be like, I don't care what you want. Just here's a check. You write the number. We'll deal with the ramifications later. I don't care how many commas. I don't care how many zeros. Just you write the number.
Yes, just whatever it is that you want.
Right.
So he's definitely going to be having his trade show today, the deadline show.
Right.
Today, the podcast and things like that later on this afternoon. So it's definitely something I'm going to be trying to listen to as well, just to hear all of the trade gossip.
Do you think, honestly, that any of the big names, because like we saw DeMarcus obviously get traded. Yeah. Like, so Melo, Jimmy Butler.
I think there might be one more big one.
You think one more? I think I would want to see someone get traded. Like, you know, because the people that are getting traded are on either bad or just mediocre teams. Like Paul George, Indiana's not a playoff title contender anymore. Jimmy Butler, that whole Chicago thing is just 10 different ways terrible. I feel bad for Dwayne because he left Miami and he thought it was going to go well in Chicago, and that, no.
He's having a tough time.
He's having a tough time. I wouldn't mind him getting traded, somewhere or, something like that, but he's probably going to stay there the rest of the year. You got Blake Griffin, because that whole LA situation is basically like, they're like the prize fighter in like boxing or MMA who like could get up to like the championship fight, but then they like fight the champion, they get knocked out in the first round kind of thing. Like they get like all the way up, but it's just like, yeah, you're not at that level yet. Like they're really good, the Clippers are, but they're just not the Warriors or the Spurs or whatever.
They're good, but I don't know how they still fall just a tad bit short each time.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing's really wrong with them. You can't really put your finger on what exactly is the problem as far as like why they had the formula as to why it
they got
work.
3 dudes. It's just like you can't. Maybe the bench was bad, or maybe whatever. But yeah, so like they're just never at that level.
Injuries,
right, or injuries, exactly. So, but yeah, I would want to see one of them. Like I honestly don't think anyone else gets traded. I think we get like some random trades, like the Lou Williams trade that happened yesterday. Like I think trades like that happen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like I think. I saw that the Mavericks held out both Andrew Bogut and I think it was Darren Williams out of practice. So they're probably going to get traded. Right. So that's probably one of the things, like they're probably going to get traded, but that's like a minor kind of thing like that. But like as far as like the big, like Melo goes to the Cavaliers or Paul George goes to the Lakers or Jimmy Butler goes to the Celtics, I don't think that actually happens.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in tomorrow?
Hmm? Yeah. So
we're going to have a lot of fun to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll either talk about all the trades that did happen or, nothing happened. or we just get back and no.
And so so let's just
right. And so I'm trying to think of like some random player that's like on a team right now. So it's like, and Avery Bradley got traded for a first round pick, guys. All right, trade deadline pass. Good times.
Right. So with that, we're going to cut to our first break of the episode. When we come back, we have to discuss some college football with Ole Miss. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'll be right back. Well, Anthony will be back.
I'll be back too.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline.
And I'm Anthony.
Anthony doesn't want to do his job today.
I forgot that I was bringing it back in. That's my bad.
It's totally fine. You know, I can't speak today, and Anthony doesn't want to speak today.
I want to speak. It was one of the things where I was looking at the computer screen, and then all of a sudden there's silence. I was like, I was supposed to do that.
He's just so distracted by...
Well, I'm looking at all these things, because I'm looking at these things with Kim DJ, right? And because basically they're having the story now with Ole Miss, right? Because Ole Miss basically got caught for stuff again.
Yes.
And they decided, okay, so we're going to...
more.
So they self-imposed the 1-year postseason ban, right? So it's one of those things where, like, you basically, I don't know, it's like when you try and, like, tell your parents, like, yeah, so like, I kind of did something wrong. Like, you try and, like, make it better by telling them beforehand to see if that doesn't make your punishment, like, so terrible.
It's better to hear. Because my mom used to always say that. Sorry, Mom. She used to always say, if you're about to get in trouble, like, at school or something, I'd rather hear it from you than hear it from someone else.
Right.
My mom would always say that.
Did your parents also tell you, if you tell me now, it won't be as bad for you, which was an absolute lie?
Well,
my parents said that to me. Oh, if you tell me right now, it's not as bad.
But my mom, she just didn't like to be caught off guard or, like, shocked with something. Like, if a teacher or, like, if a different parent would be like, well, did you hear Pauline this? My mom wants to be like, yeah, I did.
Right.
You know, like,
she didn't want to go to the school and basically have them just like, so we have some news, but we can't tell you till you get here.
I was
She's going to be in the car.
In school, but with my brothers. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Of course.
No, but
100%.
Of course, yeah. She wanted to be able to say yes, and we're taking care of that.
Right.
Or let me hear your side because I've heard Pauline's side already. Whatever.
Right.
But luckily for me, though, with my mom, like if I told her, okay, this is my stake in this, but I didn't do all that they're gonna say, but this is what I did, then she'd be like, she would believe us. She'd be like, all right, you're still getting in trouble for that.
Sure.
However, when they try to tack on some extras, I got you.
Right. Exactly.
So,
So basically, so with this Ole Miss thing, right? So they imposed a 1-year ban to basically appease the NCAA, basically saying like, hey, well, we're not going to be in the postseason, this upcoming year, which, is a nice enough kind of thing to do, right? It's one of those things where Ole Miss was never really a kind of football powerhouse or whatever. They became that when they got Kim DJ, and they weren't even a powerhouse necessarily because, I mean, last year they were just 5-7, so it wasn't exactly like they were world beaters then. I mean, before that, they were pretty good before that, 10-3 the last year Kim DJ was actually there, 10-3, 9-4, stuff like that. So they, were pretty good towards the end of that. But, now it's one of those things where, like, the NCAA can either say, like, okay, that's good, or we impose more. Like, the University of Miami did that with a postseason ban with an investigation that lasted for a very long time, and eventually the NCAA was like, okay, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Like, you did that, we'll accept this as the terms.
Right.
With Ole Miss, they can say, yeah, we agree to the terms, or they can say, like, no, we're also going to take away X amount of scholarships, because they already got in trouble once for the stuff with Laramie Tunsil. You may remember Laramie Tunsil as the guy on draft night last year who had the gas mask bong and basically had his draft stock fall because everyone was afraid of, oh, my God, he smoked weed, which just seems like a weird thing to freak out about considering some of the stuff now. But he dropped, and they had to impose sanctions. They got, penalized for that when he was in school because he had some allegations before about like improper benefits and stuff like that. So they already have kind of like a few strikes against them as far as like stuff being, less than kosher as far as what, the NCAA allows.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Diche was kind of like a weird, murky situation there because you also had the situation where he jumped out of a building and, all the recruiting stuff that happened to get him because Kim Diche went to Ole Miss. And, again, Ole Miss was never a football powerhouse, but he was like one of those guys that everybody wanted. He almost went to Clemson, Alabama, stuff like that. He ended up going to Ole Miss. So there's a couple different things that are like around this Ole Miss thing, but now they basically impose this ban because they had a handful of allegations come to them, some major, some minor. One of them was basically just like having someone, hunt in their, private property, and other stuff to where one of them, which is kind of the thing, is like a former Ole Miss staff member arranged for a recruit to receive cash payments from 2 boosters totaling $13,000 to $15,600. That one's like, oh, okay, cool. That's the big one. All right, cool.
That one, I'm like, that's not okay.
Right, because there's a thing where it's just like, oh, you gave some people like some meals, which I get. You shouldn't do favoritism.
But then also, if somebody's hungry, you're not going to feed them.
Right. Yeah.
And they're an athlete, and they're running around all day.
Right. It is a weird, like, the NCAA is a cartel.
What if I accidentally? I don't. I'm not a rule breaker.
Let's go. Come on.
Okay?
What you got?
I'm not a rule breaker.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that
there
are certain things set into place because other people abused it.
Sure. Yeah.
If a young man or woman,
right.
Depending on who the athlete is,
mm-hmm.
if they're hungry and I'm your guys' booster
mm-hmm.
and I care about this team, this is why I've helped fund these scholarships, and I'm a kind person because I am a kind person.
Right.
And if I'm, if I see you and we happen to be, I don't know, this, we're at Buffalo Wild Wings and we're chilling there. We're both there. I'm there with my family and I see you and I'm like, hey, how you been, young man? Enjoy the rest of your time. And I see you with your friends and I acknowledge you because we know each other, whatever. And then I just pay off the bill before it even comes to your table. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. That's one, showing appreciation for what you bring to the team. 2, it's just, people buy each other's meals all the time.
Right.
Outside, and things like that. And it's not necessarily showing favoritism. It's just being kind. And it's just being, you're a starving college kid. And I'm in a place where I can be a booster.
Right.
So I'm just going to pay these $40 for your wings. It's really not that big of a deal.
And the other thing is, like, if it's something like that, like, I get, the $13,000 to $15,000 basically.
Is a little bit different.
Right. That's one of the things that not every university can do.
Or something.
Right. That's not something that, like, Sacramento State can do, right? But something, Alabama can do, Clemson, Notre Dame, they can do it because they can afford to do it because, they drop money left and right. Like, Michigan's
they bring in a lot of money.
Michigan's going to Rome. Like, they can afford to drop $13,000.
Uh-huh.
But other small schools can't, Savannah State, whatever. Like, they're not, capable of doing that.
Right.
But buying someone food, any university could do that. That's not like I can do that if someone wants to pay like a $40 bill. That's not a thing. Right.
I could, so if I were to see some kids, I'm not really affiliated with the school right now.
Sure. But but even something like that, I mean, there's ways to get around that. It's basically like if you're the head coach or a booster or whatever, and you see, the 6th rated running back, in the nation eating somewhere and you want to pay for their food, like, fine, you don't pay for their food, but you go over to somebody, okay, come here. That guy, I'm giving you this money.
Yes.
And you go over to the server.
I'm paying for your meal,
like,
you're paying for theirs.
Yeah. That's how this is going. Yeah, you can get around it because then you're not paying for their food.
Sure.
It's just kind of like a 6 degrees of separation, stuff like that. And that's probably legal. Shady, but probably legal. Like, there's ways you can get around the stuff.
I don't.
Not saying I condone. I'm just saying.
The food thing kind of irks me just because if they're hungry, they're hungry.
Well, I heard like a university professor one time tell me basically that like there was these rules set in place that were really archaic, but also it was semantics and how they did the whole thing because you can pay for a bagel because that's a snack, but if you paid for a bagel and cream cheese, that's a meal. Totally weird stuff like that.
And I know that sometimes with certain, because I know this just from working in the athletics department in Irvine,
right,
that there's different times where it is within jurisdiction, within the rules. And then they do go out to eat or whatever.
And you probably get a certain amount of things.
And they go to, like, a nice restaurant for, like, breakfast or whatever. And it's not, like, IHOP. Like, they're going to a very nice – and, like, in Irvine, it's near Newport. So they're going along the beach. And they're enjoying and things like that. So I know that there are, like you said, there's – where you teeter-totter, but I don't know. The food thing really gets me.
The food thing's weird,
Only because, like, I don't think anyone should be denied food ever.
Sure.
But if you're doing it to coax them,
yeah,
then I guess that is a little bit different. Like, you know, I don't know.
And there's other stuff. A former staff member arranged for the associate of a recruit to receive merchandise from a store owned by a booster, and 2 other prospects received goods from the same store totaling about $2,800.
Yeah, see, I think that's a little bit different. Then this means it's like a store where, like, I don't know.
Like, oh, you want my stuff? Okay, cool, whatever. Like, it's supposed to be $100, $5, something like kind of thing like that. Like, I get those things.
Oh, but you can't help yourself as a person. Sometimes you can't help yourself.
Sure.
Because you're like, oh, you're such a cool ball player. Let me just give you something so you're ripping my stuff.
Exactly. And then there's the other part of it where it's just like, I mean, look, man, like, how do you think these universities become great? Like, you really think that, like, and nothing against Nick Saban or Jim Harbaugh or Dabo Swinney or any of the coaches that are, like, really good. I'm sure they're fantastic recruiters. That's totally fine.
Right.
Also, you are literally going against all of the other really good recruiters, which is basically just a salesman in the entire country. Like,
if you're good enough for one of these teams, you're good enough for all, like, you know,
Right.
Like, if you're getting recruited and looked at by an Ole Miss, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you're getting recruited by all these people, like, just because you say, like, you know, now Nick Saban can basically, like, throw a bunch of rings on the table and be like, look at all these things, look at all the people in the NFL. He probably has a super advantage when it comes to that, right?
Definitely.
So I get that part, but, like, so maybe Saban does, because honestly, Saban's been the one dude, like, to his credit, like, he hasn't had any controversy around him. Like, I will totally give him 100% with that. Like, other people have had stuff. He's had all the success and none of the, like, you know, allegations swirling around him. But anybody else, like, you get these great players sometimes through nefarious means. Like, you basically have to, like, sell your soul a bit. Urban Meyer said as much when he left Florida. Basically said he was burned out and, like, all the stuff that you have to do to get all these good players. I mean, we talked about this during the break. How do you think he got Aaron Hernandez? Like, Aaron Hernandez is the closest thing we have to Dexter, right? And he without the code. And he got him and a bunch of other people on the University of Florida who were fantastic football players, also got in trouble off the field a lot.
Yeah.
And you kind of got to sell your soul a little bit to do all these things like that. And don't get me wrong, like, some of these things you shouldn't do, the $13,000 thing.
You shouldn't be just
but none of it surprises me. Like, none of it surprises me.
That's true, too.
Maybe, at all.
I don't know. I guess that's
my favorite college is the University of Miami. I mean, come on now. You're not going to surprise me with anything that you tell me about it. Miami got accused of having strippers on a boat. Like, come on now. Like, there's nothing you can tell me.
Yeah, about that. I see. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather them just give them free food.
Sure. Free food seems nice enough.
Give them free food versus any other extracurriculars that could possibly be added to the mix. Like,
yeah.
Just, I mean.
So they're going to impose this ban, and the NCAA will obviously accept it and maybe do more, because I don't think they're going to say, like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. You only have to do X amount of stuff.
Right.
Like, they're going to accept the ban, right? That's actually going to happen, because I don't think the NCAA has ever said, like, no, that's going too far. Like, they'll accept it, and then they'll go from there. They'll basically say, like, you know, more or less or whatever like that, and, you know, we'll basically see if any more allegations come about or if more sanctions come down. But at least for right now, they basically have said, like, okay, fine, our bad. We just won't play in the postseason, which, like I said, last year they didn't even, you know, go 500, so they wouldn't have made the playoffs anyway. So maybe this whole thing is just one of those things of just like, we won't, you know, make our annual trip to Hawaii. You haven't gone to Hawaii in 5 years, but we won't go to Hawaii this year.
Yes,
kind of thing. Like, it might be one of those things.
Exactly. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's wrong to buy wings, though.
I don't think it's.
I'm sure it wasn't wings. I think that's the big deal. It probably was a steak and lobster.
Well, if they, you know, gave them $13,000 to $15,000 and they were spending like $2,800 with like merchandise, the food was probably a little high.
Using this money on, if they're using it towards, you know, books.
Would you use, if you have $13,000? Would you use $13,000 towards books? I'm not using $13,000 towards
not
books.
In
I don't
college,
know what.
But now hindsight, I wish I did have $13,000 to spend on books in college.
That's fine, but also in college, like if they give you $13,000, that thing's going to be gone in 5 days on the dumbest stuff. on the dumbest stuff. Why do you have a Jaguar?
That's a long time. 5 days is a long time.
Right. Like, why do you have a Jaguar? And I'm not talking about the car. Why do you have a Jaguar in your house? Why are you Mike Tysing it up right now? Why is there a tiger in your house?
Truly. So we'll see. Okay, so with that, we're going to cut to our last break of the day. Then we're going to come back to wrap up this episode of the podcast. You're listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. So we're getting ready to wrap up this episode, but before we do, we have some college basketball to discuss. So first things first, buzzer beaters.
Atta girl.
Blizzard.
Proud of you.
Thank you. That took a lot out of me.
It's okay. It happens.
It happens. So who was the buzzer beater with?
So we had Syracuse over Duke.
We had a few.
Yeah,
actually,
we had Syracuse over Duke, and we had Cal losing to Oregon.
Yes.
The Oregon one was a normal shot, like, hey, they made the three. Cool. Syracuse was a three-pointer that was banked in from straight on, so it's basically one of those just, like, heaves the basket, and it's like, hey, we made the shot.
Yes.
Kind of thing. You know, really good game for both of them. Oregon was down by a lot early, ended up winning by 3, so they ended up coming back. You know, they're the 6th-ranked team in the country, so they get to kind of stay at the top level. You get Duke, who, you know, 10th-ranked team in the nation, that's probably going to drop a little bit.
Yes,
considering
that's
what
I
had happened.
Thinking
you know, and they've been, you know, very good as of late. You know, Coach K left for a second. He came back. Mm-hmm. Grayson Allen had this whole thing where he basically liked to just trip everybody in sight. They kind of started to get it back. Lost this game, which isn't that big of a deal. It's just one of those things now where it's like, oh, okay, you lost, whatever, but you're still going to be in the tournament. It's like a 2 or 3 seed, something like that. So that's not that big of a deal, but you had a couple buzzer beaters, which was fun to see last night. And all these are great, and these are all fantastic stories. Congratulations to Syracuse. Congratulations to Oregon. Fantastic wins by you guys. That's not what we're here for right now.
Right.
We had another game last night, which also, by the way, fantastic game. Louisville, North Carolina, two of the top 8 teams in the nation. North Carolina won 74-63. Again, fantastic job by everybody involved. Good on you. Also, Rick Pitino wanted to fight someone in the crowd.
Yes. This is what I want to discuss.
Yes. He basically
Rick is a cool guy. Let's not play him. He's a very cool guy. He's a fantastic coach.
One of the best coaches.
Tried and true coach.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to watch him coach when my team played Louisville. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. So that was an honor, and I was really excited that we played them just so that I could watch Rick and say that I've seen him coach before.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of honor and respect towards you, Coach Rick.
Yep.
But yesterday, in true Rick Pitino fashion.
So mad.
He's so angry.
Look, like I said, Pitino.
He's a cool guy, though, but he has a hot temper. But I feel like all head coaches of great teams do.
Yeah.
They're all pretty extra.
So Coach K, we've seen Coach K lose his mind. Mm-hmm. There's a video where Jim Boeheim lost his mind. We saw Roy Williams lose his mind. Basically all the, good coaches.
Even from, AAU elementary school and up, you're going to have that one.
They all have that kind of just, insane,
demeanor.
Yeah, they all have the thing where it's just, they lose their mind and stuff like that. Yeah. And Pitino, the best thing about this video with Pitino is, it's at halftime. Fans start yelling at him, which they say all he said was, Pitino, you suck, which he probably said that too. There's probably a few other things. That's
probably the only thing you can say that he said.
In there, right.
Right.
Pitino is also Italian. We are very, passionate people. we like to yell. I say we because my last name is Bertacci. It's super Italian. We have the temper that goes like that. And he's just walking, he's walking.
Heated because of the game.
Yeah, and someone yells something. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was "you suck," but it's also probably a few, F-bombs thrown in there.
Yeah, I feel like there had to have been something else added. Because for you to just yell to a coach that,
right,
or like, coach, what the heck, or like, there's certain things that fans yell at coaches all day long that they tune out.
Right.
Like they know, and especially a coach like this.
And they were only down by 3 at the half, so it wasn't like they were getting like.
Affect him, to that level. I feel like he did add in some extra.
Yeah, and like I said, they were only down 3, so it wasn't like they were down like 15 at the half and they were getting blown out or something like that. Like
and
they were down
then,
3.
I feel like he would have entertained it.
Yeah, so like he gets it, and it's a reaction. He's just like walking, he's just like okay, and then all of a sudden like you just see his like demeanor totally go to like, oh, you mother, and he's like bleep,
yes,
bleep,
he
bleep,
goes
bleep,
off.
just bleep, 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 going off, and you see all the like assistant coaches like, nope, coach,
yes,
we got to go, just go in the tunnel, and stuff like that. So he loses his mind. It's just a funny video to see for a second. It's just not that big of a deal. Like I said,
and that fan did later get ejected.
So right.
Whatever it was that he was saying or doing warrant him to get ejected.
And he even said, like, Pitino himself basically said, like, I take it from the students all the time. You expect it from the students because they're students.
Right.
But from an adult, and then to turn his back on me like he's a coward, Pitino said. And he is a coward, but North Carolina is a classy place, and he does speak for the rest of the people. So,
right.
That's the other thing. Like, you would probably expect it to be from a student.
Yeah, like, students say just ridiculous
right, they're
stuff.
students. Like, like Duke embraced the whole slap in the four mentality, and basically if someone's, like, on the sideline waiting to get in, like, they have the thing where they, like, extend their arms and do this. Like, some universities embrace the whole fans being insane because they know.
Right, it's fun, and it adds to the atmosphere.
Right, and they basically hope, I can't say they know they won't, but they hope that the fans won't cross a certain line. Like, we're going to give you this leeway. Don't mess it up.
But
like,
there is a certain
limit.
because,
like I said, there's a thing where Duke has a thing where they extend their hands out or whatever to kind of like taunt them a little bit. But as soon as some fan basically reaches out and slaps the player, then it's like, okay, we're done.
Yes, that's too much. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing like that. It's the whole thing of like letting people run on the court after a win. That's still fine and cool, but the minute somebody actually decides to like tackle a coach, and all of a sudden it becomes the Pacers versus Pistons from 2004.
Yes.
Once that happens, then they'll cut it out, right? Once it actually, because they're not going to do it until then. People talk about, they should do it, and they maybe should or shouldn't. But once something goes south, like once a fan, like the Pitino thing, like this is whatever, like we laugh about it, let's go.
Right.
But like once someone actually throws something at Pitino and it hits him, like once they throw like a beer bottle at him or something, that's a totally different thing.
Exactly. So, if you guys want to watch the clip, it's definitely online.
It's great. It's fantastic. Congratulations to North Carolina. You got another win against a top program. That we don't care about that. But that's nice, but it's fine.
It's all about Coach Rick,
It's all about Coach Pitino.
All about Pitino. So that's going to do it, actually, for this episode of the podcast. Anthony and Ben. Ben's going to be back with you tomorrow?
Yep. Anthony
and Ben will have the sports podcast tomorrow. I'll be back with Ben on Monday to give you guys the update on everything sports from the weekend. You guys will have some basketball to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll trade deadline if anything big happens, or if it's just small little Aaron Aflalo gets traded stuff.
Tonight, actually, after the break.
Right.
As well. So there's going to be a lot to talk about tomorrow. So they'll be back here tomorrow, and we will talk to you guys next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.